Amongst other things, David Grier is a global entrepreneur, philanthropist, and adventurer. He firmly believes that it's not what you achieve that is important, it's about the difference you make along the way. Fresh from his most recent adventure running Route 50 in America, please welcome back to the SAPICS stage, the ever-popular David Grier.
So, here I sit in the middle of the lonely road in Nevada somewhere. All I know is I'm heading down that way.
Run like you've done so many times when something don't feel right and you gotta get away from the idea of pain. Well, I'll be calling in the morning when you're gone. I'll be calling in the morning when you're done. And I'll be calling in the morning just to see if you're still having fun. I'll be calling in the morning just to see if you're still having fun. If you're on the run. I'm the same, just like you. I fear the things you do, and I fear the coming change, and I long for better days. I'll be calling may seem right today until you go and change your mind tomorrow. I'll be calling in the morning when you're done. I'll be calling in the morning when you're done. And I'll be calling in the morning just to see if you're still having fun. And I'll be calling in the morning just to see if you're still having fun.
Well, very good morning to all of you. I think I've got the same issue as this. Okay, I'm going to go back one. Okay, well, let's hope it carries on. I'm standing here, and honestly, I don't know where the hell I am. I finished running last week, Wednesday, 3,000 kilometers across the US. Running 50 kilometers every single day. But there's someone here I'm going to corner. And it's Phil Roberts. He's sneaky. Eh? He phones me just before I leave, and he says, "Oh, David, we got this conference, and we want to. Can you do a talk?" And I'm busy getting all my stuff together. I said, "Yeah, Phil, sure, I'll do it." He sort of mentioned when it was. And I forgot about it. But then while I was on the journey, his partner in crime messages me, or Ian Barton. He says, David, can I have a quick chat to you? I just want to brief you on the conference. So then I realized I'm not going to get out of this one. So here I am. I flew back Friday night. I was sitting in the plane trying to get all my stuff together. So excuse me if I'm rough, emotional, and all over the place, but it was one hell of a journey, an amazing journey. The reason for the journey, crossing the nation for cancer survivors. Cancer has its claws everywhere. There's very few people who doesn't know someone that's been touched by cancer. The aim of this journey was to create awareness and raise funds for a project that they've got in the US called Hope Lodges. Hope Lodges are cancer survivors home away from home while undergoing treatment. You know, the sad thing about cancer is 60% of the people diagnosed with cancer do not end up getting treatment because of the cost of accommodation and transport in order to access treatment. Crazy, that tiny little thing that keeps people away from treatment. In the US alone, 1,700 people die every single day of cancer. So the Hope Lodge project provides free accommodation, free food, and free transport for no matter how long you're undergoing treatment. And after I saw what happened there, the aim of this journey was to come back home and do something similar in South Africa. And we're launching this project called Dare to Care. We actually dare you to care. Let's do something like that here in this incredible country. And, you know, today the sentiment is about going out there, assisting, pooling our resources, our expertise, and let's make a damn difference in this country. You know, we're so sick and tired of negativity and all of this. I mean, we've just been through election. You must see the election in the US, what's going on there. That's a zoo. But let's make a difference. So the journey, the American Cancer Society approached me and said, come up with some concept that we can create awareness across the US. They loved what I did with the Miles for Smiles projects and the cleft surgery. So the decision was that 2 South Africans would start on the Golden Gate Bridge. Americans would start in New York, and we then head towards Omaha in Nebraska and meet in the middle of the nation. We had 60 days to get there, and the race was on to meet there. But these Americans, friendly people, but watch your back. They sneaky buggers. So the guy said to us, look, you come from Cape Town. Why didn't you start in California? Maybe you get there a day early. You can have a surf. It's beautiful, sunshine. You know, we packed our kit, California weather. They didn't tell me. Look at the topography of our side. That's where we had to run. We climbed 36,000 meters in ascent. The Americans did 2,400 meters. They just came from New York flat across there. But what an incredible journey we had. And I'm going to go into some insights of the journey, but you know, with these journeys, it's not what I achieved. It's the lessons that I take from these journeys that I want to share with you. They life lessons. They ancient wisdom, as you can call it. It's out there. It's all there. And it's nice just to be reminded of them. If I look back at the last 14 events, I've run 35,000 kilometers across this planet. And every single event that I embark on, I introspect. I look at myself. I tear myself apart. I put myself back together. And I try and work out how I can deal with what I face, how I can better achieve what I want to set out to achieve. And I pick up all these thousands of lessons along the way. And when I was standing at that Golden Gate Bridge, And I was looking through the fence the night before towards the start. I think all these life lessons that we have in business, in our lives, whatever, every little lesson is a lock that's hooked onto this fence of life. But the problem is, you don't have the key to all those locks anymore. They're there, they're hanging there. But it's the knowledge that you have. You can't just unlock it and change something with it. And every journey is like this. There's this fence of knowledge, but how do I take this knowledge in order to succeed on this next journey? It's so, so difficult because every single journey is different. And change is the nightmare because things keep on evolving and changing. Nothing is ever the same. But that knowledge will assist you and help you to get through the situation and find an outcome. So all of my journeys, I think my biggest asset along the way is I've found purpose. I honestly have found purpose in life. And it is so important for every one of us to find purpose. Because if you find purpose that drives you, purpose gives you resilience. It builds resilience. Because now you are purpose-driven. No matter how hard things are, or whatever you go through, or whatever you're facing, if you've got purpose, that resilience is there. And we need resilience in order for that nightmare of change. You've got to be resilient in order to enable change. And once that happens, change brings positivity. And as the panel was sitting here, what they're doing is the chairman's he's got purpose. He's got the resilience. We're going to enable change, and we're going to bring a positive outcome to everyone sitting in this room. On every journey, when we set out, we plan, we prepare, and we arrive there, and we are so confident we're going to nail it. I mean, we were sitting in San Francisco. We'd got a camper van. We were in the RV park, and this was a day before the run, and confident it was 5 degrees, and we went out, and we went for a little warm-up run, cocky with ourselves. We're going to nail this journey. But the weird thing is, I love the analogy of a shadow. We're going to run out into that sun, and the shadow is behind us. We're just starting the journey. We're confident. We're going to sort it out. Halfway through the journey, it's weird. That shadow is hanging right above you. You're only just coping with what's changing and evolving and happening. And as the journey progresses, it's weird. That shadow of change lies ahead, and you spend the rest of the journey trying to keep up and catch up with what's evolving and changing around you. You've got to face change. You can never, ever run from it. It's a fact. Everything I plan, everything I do, and everything I set out ahead, it's all down to a commitment to make a meaningful difference. And when I set out on this journey, my plan was to come back to this country, to learn what's happening in the US, and make a meaningful difference back here for cancer survivors and patients diagnosed with cancer. And I hope that I can encourage a lot of you to be part of this, and that we can make this meaningful difference in our country, because cancer is going to overtake many, many of the other diseases that we face. The growth is astronomical. I love the analogy of the lenses of life. There's this analogy that life has 3 lenses. It's the now lens, where we're sitting and we're looking at through today. Then there's the lens of the past, and there's the lens of the future. And the weird thing is that 65% of us sitting in this room are looking at every single day through the lens of the past. And the reason why we do that is because we feel comfortable looking at situations through that lens, because we've been through that situation before. We think we might know the outcome. We could predict what was happening or what's going to happen because we've been through it before. But what happens if you constantly look at today through the lens of tomorrow? It pushes you into a negative space. You're always holding back, saying, no, but this is how we used to do it. This is how we should do it. Things are evolving and changing at such a rate. We have to look at today through the lens of the future. But the problem of looking today through the lens of the future is it puts us into an uncomfortable position because we can't predict the outcome. We don't know what the answer or the solution is going to be. But the nice thing, it forces everyone to collaborate, to work together, use each other's skills, and find a solution for the future. I've done 14 journeys. I've always done it the same way. On this journey, I had a little youngster in the crew. He was 14 years old. Him and his father, his dad took him out of school for 2 months to join us on the road. And this kid kept saying to us, David, you've got to do it like this. I said to him, listen here, Junior. On every single journey, I've used Google Maps. I do the walk-to from start to finish, and I follow that map. He says, no, we're going through the mountains, we're going to have no signal. We're going through the desert, this and this. We can find shortcuts and everything. Please, just let me show you something. This kid had this little genial app he downloaded, and on his phone, he said to me, David, this is all you got to do today. At your 50 kilometers, follow the arrow. So I look at this map, and I said, what do you mean follow the arrow? He says, just follow the arrow. You don't have to think. It'll tell you how far you go. It'll tell you when to stop. It'll tell you when to turn. It'll tell you everything. So I followed the arrow. My goodness, the end of day one, there I stood at the van exactly on 50 Ks. It was unbelievable. And when we started getting injuries and we were falling behind time, unbeknown to us, the kid just adjusted the app. At the end of the day, we didn't do 50 Ks. He'd sneaked in, we did 54 days. We didn't know this, but he kept us on target and on track every single day. The other thing he did with these drones and that amazing footage he took, difficult areas, the kid would pop the drone up, he'd research the area, tell me, so no, David, there's this, our guys are going to go there. I said, what do you mean? How do you know? No, I've been researching it for an hour with the drones. It was amazing what you do when you look at situations through the lens of the future and actually using the technology and the youth out there. These guys, I don't know where they get all this, but they learn quickly. All of my journeys, I always say it's about relationships. Everything is about a relationship. You're all here today to build relationships. The panel's here building relationships. But there's a key triangle of relationships. Family, you as an individual, and the business. The business is always that damn beast. It consumes you. It demands everything. But way back at home, the family also has its problems, and you also have your problems. But if you can find a perfect balance between those three, no matter what is thrown at you, that robust triangle of relationships, you'll be able to deal with any external problems that come in because you've formed a balanced relationship within that. And when we're on the road, that triangle's different. It's between the crew, it's me, and then it's the cause while we're out there. The other thing that I noticed from a logistics point of view at these trucks, so that is a grain truck. When that truck comes past you, it basically blows you off the road. It's like this big block. The newer trucks that we saw on the road in the US have these funny curved skirts underneath, under the truck, and a couple at the front and something at the back. When that truck sides past you, it makes less turbulence than a car. It's amazing what we saw with just learning about these trucks passing you. And then you have these trucks with no windscreens, with nothing, just steel. And in Nevada, on the lonely roads, we saw them testing these new electric driverless trucks going from one area to the other. And it's scary when this thing comes hurtling down at you. You wonder, like, has it seen me? Am I going to survive this thing passing me? So relationships are key to everything. It's relationships that get me through every single day and to the end of every journey. All of us sitting in this room have amazing journeys, stories to share, inspirational stories. I could ask anyone here to stand up and you'll be able to tell me an incredible story, an incredible journey that you've been through that could inspire all of us here. We all have those journeys. The problem is, at the moment, the stories that we hear and what's been pushed out, there is a fundamental truth decay everywhere. What is real? What is bullshit? What are the facts? Do we know anymore? I feel it's our duty, every single one of us sitting here as a South African, to reset your moral compass. Let's be the example. Let's be that pillar, that shining pillar of truth, hope for the future. Reset your moral compass. Let every single one of us do that. And then we can take this country forward. We have to deal with that fact. Really have to. So we're running 4 days, and I wake up this one morning. We're just entering into the Sierra Nevada mountains as you come out of California, or out of San Francisco. And the sprinklers in the field are spraying, but the water is freezing on the fence. It's meant to be summer. I sort of got out my shorts and was like, what's going on here? There was this cold, icy snap in the air, and we couldn't work out where it come from, what was happening. There was this massive storm blowing in. It was unprecedented at this time of the year. And the next thing we know, down comes the snow, down comes the freezing cold. And with that, we lost our support crew. There was no way that the crew could support us or stop on the side of the road. The big snow plows are coming through and just pushing. As the snow came down, they pushed the snow up to the side, blocking all the pull-off points. So what happened in the morning was the crew would drop us off, and we wouldn't see them till the evening, till the collection point. No support, nothing. And we pushed and pushed on these dangerous, slippery roads, day in and day out, for about 2 weeks. And it just got worse and worse the higher up the mountains we went. And you get these snowplows hurtling past you. Then you get the county sheriff coming and trying to get you off the road, or the state trooper trying to get us off the road. And we'd head up into the vegetation, sort of hide a while, wait till they're gone, and we'd back out on the road, and off we push. I mean, some days it took us 11 hours to cover those 50 kilometers, just trying to dodge the officials who were trying to break the journey, because every day we lost was a day we'd have to catch up later in distance. We started to meet some crazy locals. We basically traveled through the Northwest, and this is the typical, they call them rednecks themselves in America. Everyone is armed to the teeth. I don't know what the hell the guys are scared of. They are paranoid about everything. They're honestly paranoid. The conversations that you have are short, brief, but they all end with the same sentence. You take care now. So you'll meet someone, and we were just going up into the Sierra Nevada mountains, and there was this old man leaning on his gate asking us, where are you from, what you doing? We're telling him the story, and he looks up at us and he says, you guys, the grizzlies are awakening. You take care now. And then off he goes. And then running up the mountain, the guys with the big ski plows will stop, and you're chatting to them, and you're saying, so what do you do? So he says, no, I keep the roads clear so America can keep moving. So I said, yeah, well, my friend's down the road, then he's injured. Will you have a check? He says, we got your back now, so you take care now. And then off they go. So we're running through Nevada, and this truck stops, this bucky, they all call them trucks, stops next to us, and it's a farmer. And he sees the South African flag, and he says, "Are a few South Africans working for me, blah, blah, blah." And he says, "Hard-working, hard-drinking, God-fearing men. You got to lock your wife away, you know. And then he looks at us and he says, by the way, my lodging's full. He wasn't going to put us up. And then we come to this little town called Dinosaur. And we met this guy called Rocky in Dinosaur. And I'm running along the road, and Rocky comes up to me and he says, morning, yeah? Are you packing? So I thought, yeah, I got my rucksack, stuff's in here. He says, no, packing. And he holds out this huge 6-gun. I'm so like, jeez, no, we don't carry that. So he says, America's a dangerous place. You take care now. And off we go. Then we're standing in the road, and another guy whistles, obviously Rocky's buddy. And he sees us there, and he comes over, and he's telling us about this massive storm that's encroaching. And he says, winds up to 80 miles an hour. You're going to hold on to trees and blah, blah, blah. And he says, that rain's coming down so hard, it's going to be like a cow pissing on a flat rock. And then off he goes. But anyway, that's a bit of touch of our redneck buddies that we met along the way. We always have little games on the road to pass time. It's very important. And in America, no one walks anywhere. In 3,000 kilometers, I saw one person walking, 10 people running, and maybe 15 cyclists. That was the route we were on. I mean, even in the shops, guys are on electric trolleys. No one does anything. So along the road, we started this collection of number plates to see who could pick up the most number plates. We found cell phones. We found wallets. No money in there. I'm still looking for that briefcase with $1 million. We were around in Vegas. And tools, I mean, this isn't even all that we picked up. But stuff always comes into use, especially those pliers. So with the cold weather and our running shoes, our feet were freezing, so we had to buy boots. So we were running 50 kilometers in waterproof boots. And there was an issue with that. Hammered the toes. Finally, when we got out the mountains, we put on our running shoes again. I had a big issue. I had to get Andy to assist with a bit of, let's say, surgery. We'll need sound.
Okay, so I've had an issue with this toenail. So you can see I've cut the shoe open, but this toenail's been bugging me since the beginning. So we found a pair of pliers along the road. So Andy's going to yank this toenail off because, enough's enough.
Put your foot in there.
Okay.
Some of you guys might remember that David did this to me in India. And
it was in China. I ripped your toenail.
It was in China,
yeah.
And it was a bit messy. So this is called the revenge. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make sure I've got it there. And then I'm just going to...
Yes!
That's called the revenge.
Jeez, man. This toe's a bit manky, but there it is. There's a bit of meat and everything on it.
Yeah. With these journeys, they're bigger than the individual. The journey is not about me. It's not about Andy. The journey is about the promise we make when we set off to people we might never meet, might never see. It is not about us. And 800 kilometers into the journey, I picked up a niggle. It's the curse of adventurers, is you get tendinitis from too much movement in the beginning. And your sheath that the tendon runs in gets inflamed, and the sheath swells and tightens on the tendon. And it's like threading a lace through a shoe. It grinds and grates, and eventually your leg seizes, and you can't carry on. And you've got to catch this in time. Otherwise, you don't make the journey. My sheath had started getting inflamed, and I'd done 18 Ks a day, and I said to Andy, I've got to call it here. I can't carry on today. So we pulled off, we phoned the crew, and I iced it, and I took anti-inflammatories, and I rested. I wouldn't even walk anywhere. And the next morning, I got up at 4:30, and I left the van before anyone was up. I said, guys, just leave me. And you walk. And you think to yourself, shit, man. Am I going to get there? What? So the reason why we got the inflamed tendon was the camber on the road is so radical. It's this old road that's thrown, and there's a tiny little bit there, and the camber's down. So luckily we were on the lonely road, and I could walk sort of in the middle of the road. I walked for 7 days, over 12 hours a day, just walked, and got through 350 kilometers as my legs slowly healed. And then this one day, this sheriff comes past me, and he slows down, and I hear on his louder, back off the white line, back off the white line. So I go, cool, sheriff, and I carry on. The car brakes, smoke, and lights up like a Christmas tree, and back the guy comes. And he says, I said, back off the white line, onto the verge. So I'm standing there trying to explain to him, I've got this injury, and I'm trying to run on the flat road, and blah, blah. He says, round here, I do the talking. Back off. So he disappears. And then, while walking, suddenly it's the looking for a spot, the penguin walk. And as I'm heading into the bush, this flippin' sheriff appears back. And on the loud hailer, all I hear is, there'll be no crouching in this county. Phone your RV. I mean, these guys, they're insane. I don't think they've got anything better to do there. And, those days that I hobbled along the road, I remember waking up in the morning, and I'd start walking, and I'm on my own then, I'm shouting to myself, it's just today, just get through today. You're talking to yourself, and you're fighting with yourself. And you get through that day, and you're so relieved to get in the van that night, and the next morning you get out, and you take those first 3 steps, and that pain's still there. And then you just got to get through that day. I think there were 3 times that I just wanted to get into the van and just say, you know what? I've had it. I'm going to give up. But honestly, whatever you do, whatever you pursue, whatever you're trying at, what this team is achieving here, the closer you come to success, the bigger the temptation is to give up. It's weird. It's always like that. You are nearly there and you want to give up. Don't give up. Push it through. Persevere. We will get everything right eventually. And there's that saying, hope is the perception that things will get better in the future, although everything points to the opposite. That's what we face. But we will get it right. Just don't give up. Don't give up. The storms continued, and the one day we walked the whole day into winds of 80 miles an hour. It was just unbelievable. But those weren't the only storms. The storms started to appear within the crew themselves. Little niggles. And with Andy and I, it blew up on the road. It's pathetic. He's trundling behind me, and we duck bedorned with each other. And a truck comes past, and my hat blows off. And he says, strike 2. Strike 3, you're out. Then there's a penalty, and it's a whole long story, just to get through the day. And I turn around to him, and I said, bullshit, it's strike 1. He says, no, I've seen it. That's strike 2. And this little scuffle continues. Eventually, we're rolling in the tumbleweed there, cornering each other over an argument of how many times my hat blew off. It's pathetic. But, in business, there's always the saying, Don't sweat the small stuff. It's nonsense. You must sweat the small things. Sort out those little things. Sort out the tiny pixels that make up the picture. Because if you don't get them right, it is going to blow up. You've got to sort it out. It becomes an issue. And I remember we went back to the crew. We stopped there. And the niggles had started with the crew. And they were playing on Andy and playing on me because we were trying to be appeasing and not deal with it. All we had to do was saying, bang, 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 sort it out. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone knows what to do. And it brings you to crossroads in your life. So often we hit these crossroads where you actually have to just draw a line and say, you know what, stop. Just stop. Sit there and understand what has happened. Understand where you've got to. And then you take the next step and you accept it. And then you can move on. We have to do that every now and then. You know, so often we trundle along on our own, in our own negative space, trying to deal with things, trying to deal with issues, try to sort it out on our own. But if you just stop, speak to someone, sort it out, it's amazing what can happen. But we were traveling through quite a negative part of America. And, you know, all around us, there were sad stories of how the American dream had collapsed and crumbled. The areas that we were going through, I'm not talking about 10, I'm talking about 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 towns collapsed, devoid of any business. Towns that had 3,000, 4,000 people in had maybe 5 people left. Buildings just left. People just locked the door. Houses, all the furniture is in, just left. RVs just left. In the areas we're going through, I think 40% of all the people lived in RVs. You can't believe the poverty in the Midwest of America. There are huge, huge fundamental issues there that we saw. We're not the only one of the problems. These problems have just been window dressed. They've got big issues. I mean, the collapsed mines, gold mines, stuff, just machinery left everywhere. But in amongst that, you always find someone positive. And we found White Cloud, a real character. He was a Shoshone Indian. And he'd come down from the mountains. He was telling us he found this place called Strawberry Creek where there's gold. He's been looking at it for 10 years. He's been scratching around for gold for 10 years, and he says he knows he's going to find it. And he was on the side of the road. He'd run out of diesel, and he was selling all bits and pieces to fuel his car to get back up to Strawberry Creek to find that rainbow of gold. So we gave old White Cloud some bucks, and off he went again. But, you know, characters like this are just, they're tonic when you need it. But Andy's leg then went. Andy's Scottish, and Andy's stubborn. And he believes he can run through anything. And unfortunately, he didn't stop with the tendinitis. And he continued and continued. And then his leg totally seized. For 8 days, he had to sit in that van, freaking out like a raging bull in a cage. He missed out 400 kilometers of the journey because he didn't know when to stop. And we discussed it, and we know. But, as they say, things happen. I know how to hit the road on my own, coming out of the Rocky Mountains, the storm's raging again, and finally we get out of the Rockies, and we hit the plains of Utah and then into Nevada. And Nevada was flat. We couldn't wait to get to Nevada, because then we knew there was 800 Ks to go. But we're in the tornado corridor. And they got an amazing system. Your whole cell phone locks and goes, bah, bah, bah. And we looked the first time and thought, what the hell's going on here? You know, the phone's going crazy. I'm on the road. I'm trying to find the crew. The crew are trying to find me. No one told us about this. And there's this storm brewing behind me. Yeah, so it's going crazy now. The screen of our phone is flashing tornado warning. Every car's stopping for me, but the crew's just ahead, so they'll pick me up. But Yeah, geez, man. This place is turning nasty out here. But I've got 800 meters to go to the crew. And behind me, this clip doesn't have sound, so don't worry, guys. I couldn't get it right. The crew were picking up this coming behind us. Omaha had been hit 3 weeks ago. The airport was taken out by a tornado. 500 houses were taken out by a tornado, and we were heading into that area. It is the most scary thing that you can ever come across. That night, we were sleeping in a farm road, and we got the warnings again. So we drove into this little town. As we got into the town, the sirens are going off everywhere. There's people running. Now it's pitch dark. You don't know where the hell this tornado is coming from. And we were fortunately parked in a parking lot at a school. And it was school holidays. The next minute, the whole town arrives at the school. They unlock the school. We into the school, into these lockdown shelters. And we sat there from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock that night as the tornadoes were going mad all around us. But fortunately, it missed the town, and we were fine to move on. You know, with these journeys, every single day, I train, I practice, I prepare with Andrew. As happens with all of you in your businesses, it's all this planning, preparation, and then execution of what lies ahead. And the crazy thing is, when you arrive at a destination and you put on your running shoes and you're about to head off on a journey, the first thing that happens is on that road, Andrew disappears. He's not there. No one but no one is going to run your journey for you. Every morning that you wake up and you put on your shoes, you've got to deal with the day that lies ahead for you. You've got to deal with the issues, you've got to deal with yourself, and you've got to deal with everyone around you. And I say the most important thing that happens on the road is the people that you meet along the way. Choose wisely, choose carefully, because they will make or break you. Choose wisely, choose carefully. As they say, you take care now. You never know what's going to happen. And this was when I'd finished the run of the Great Wall of China, and you stand there and you celebrate. Every time you finish a journey, you celebrate. What do you achieve in celebration? Nothing. Maybe a babalas. That's about it. Everything that you achieve is when you're in that trough at the bottom, in that deep, dark, difficult place where you've got to make those innovative, creative decisions in order to get out of there. And the decision you make, you've got to live by, and you've got to pursue until you succeed with it. That's where all your learnings are, not there. That celebration is going to go down into the trough again, and you have to fight your way back out. And, you know, after a journey, what's next? What's going to happen next? You know, there are many people in this room here whose journey, you're going to reach retirement. What's going to happen next? What are you going to do next? Whatever you do, find a purpose, find a passion, pursue it. Don't ever give up. There's so much still left in everyone to do in this country. We can do amazing things. I don't know if I'm going to run another big one again. I'm getting a bit old and crotchety now, but I've got a plan. I want to set up those Hope Lodges, and I hope that I can hold hands in partnership with some of you guys here in this room. And you know, at the end of every journey, there are two things that have stuck out to me. The one is honesty. Be ruthlessly honest with yourself every single day. Because if you bullshit yourself, imagine what you're going to tell the people around you. And secondly, my dad, who's 92 at the moment, and many of these things, I didn't want to do it. And my dad always said to me, David, do it. If you fail, you'll regret it. But that regret will leave you. But if you don't do it, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life, and that regret will never, ever leave you. So there are so many things that can be done. Please, try something. Do something. If it fails, so what? Don't sit here in 5 years' time saying, shit, I wish we'd done that. Like these gentlemen are doing. let's do it. If you fail, so what? We try again tomorrow. And I want to end off with some footage, and it's sort of it encompasses a lot of things that I do with the foundation, the creches we build, the clinics we put up, and the cleft surgery that we do. A lot of these journeys are putting children through clefts, although this specific journey was for cancer survivors. And, you know, I always say that your success as an individual is going to be measured by your ability to change. Keep adapting, keep evolving, keep changing. So after this conference, maybe in a week or 2's time, I challenge you all, pick up the mirror of your life and reflect and think to yourself, isn't there some little way that I can change? And if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for someone you love. Just do it. You know, change is a conscious decision that comes from within. I can't change anyone in this room. I cannot. But you're going to wake up one morning, you're going to look in the mirror, and you're going to say, you know what, damn it, I've got to do something about myself. And that is the catalyst to change. So it's a little 3-minute video clip. Enjoy it. It's heartwarming, it's heart-wrenching, but so much can be done. We're an incredible, resilient nation. We've got such innovative folk, and I'm putting up my hand. I'm saying, I want to make a difference. I really want to make a difference.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs and voices
Thank you.
David, just on behalf of all of us, incredible thank you. Just as the mental and physical exhaustion will certainly recede into a very distant, comfortable memory, so I hope the urge to bliksem Ian and I will do the same, because I certainly don't think either of us can outrun you. Just to put into perspective what David's just done, you know, yesterday was the Comrades Marathon. He just did 30 of those consecutively. I mean, that's absolutely incredible. I think your passion to see change, I think the stuff you've done with the cleft palates and hair lips, all the runs that you've done to raise awareness and funds is so critical right now, particularly in the space you've chosen, which is the cancer space. It really is quite frightening. And if I think about, if we take our focus away from HIV, TB, just for a minute, and we look at non-communicable diseases and the work that needs to take place there and the burden that is, you know, inevitable on the state, we all need to be aware. We all need to find partnerships that matter. And David, all the best of luck in Pietermaritzburg with the center.